Hello and welcome back to the channel, and this is the first video of 2026, first garden tour, January. A little bit grey, overcast and a little bit rainy today, so it might just be a quick float around the garden, having a look at what's doing well, what's not doing well. I'll have a sneak preview. You can see the unprotected bananas there, not doing quite as well. It's not been super cold. We've had lows maybe -5, possibly close to -6, but nothing worse than that. So we've been quite lucky really. We only had a dusting of snow, a couple of real frosty mornings, but other than that it's just been really wet. So first of all, then you can see here there's a new post appeared. So this is because I'm going to be opening up this section here, and so from these two posts is where the new decking steps are going to go. And then it'll just open up a space here where the current ones are. They want stripping down, and it'll give me a nice planting opportunity in there. And I just think in the middle, it's going to open up this space down into the garden far nicer. And also when I come in with all my manure and soil, when I come down these steps with the wheelbarrow, I don't run straight into this bed here, into the palms, into the rest of the plants. I'll be able to more open up. You know, I'll be able to run it into the grass. I've got more of a runoff area. It's a bit easier then. I just build a ramp down the steps. So yeah, that's one job done. Got that in. I've just got to build the rest of the steps whenever I get a chance. We might end up with just a post there for a little while. I've picked up a couple of plants last couple of days. New Fatsia, just a standard Fatsia japonica. And then we've got a Cuba japonica as well. I don't know which one. It's probably some sort of standard one. No name variety, I don't think, but these will be perfect for back at border, nice evergreen plants to grow up. And I paid £2.50 each for them, so you know, for £2.50 you can't go wrong. I'm not sure where they're going yet. I'm potentially going to put one in this border, probably the Cuba somewhere. As you can see, I've mulched it a little bit, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it just needs a little bit more evergreen structure in there. We've got, same again. You'll see how fantastic this is looking. This is my Schefflera Della Vei. The centre though, if we can see, let's have a look, see if we can see that. The centre's still looking nice and green and healthy. So I'm hoping that that continues to grow in the spring, and this damage is just from, like I said before, when it was just getting far too wet. I mean, you can see just down at the trunk level, it's constantly damp. We've had nothing but rain, so I'm hoping it's going to be all right, because it's not a plant I want to have to replace, but I would replace it because it's such a fantastic plant. But fingers crossed this one pulls through. The yucca's just sat there again in its tub. Move on from that. I'm getting quite happy now with how this cordline's growing. This is going to give me some good height. I'm going to take off a lot of the lower growth just from maybe this level here. That'll allow me a nice underplanting. So all we've got down here is some little Nephofia red hot pokers. I think I'll swap them out for something a little nicer. I'll just put them somewhere else in the garden. Always stay completely evergreen, so they're worth having in the garden, but I think that'll be a nice little spot for something. You know, if I take them out, I don't know what we'll put in there yet, but we'll get something nice in there, even if it's just some nice summer bedding. Under here then, you'll see from when we did have the real cold nights, this potted Dicksonia Antarctica is just still wrapped up. I think it's the only one I've left wrapped up, but it's under this canopy of ivy and it's not got massive fronds, so I've just left it covered up, get as much protection as you can, and as you can see it's lovely and green. Some of the other ones more exposed, I've actually taken a little bit of damage, but by that being under there, it's nice and protected. I am quite tempted to plant it in this spot, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it gets a little bit too much sun here. This is looking fantastic in the damp conditions. So this is a Mahonia narihiri, another soft-leaved Mahonia. It struggled when I first put this in. It had a lot of dieback. It was a beautiful plant when I bought it. I've done a video on it before. about all the different mahonias, or the ones that I grow at least. And it really did have some dieback. And so I don't know if you can see just down here, but it's looking a bit spindly at the bottom. But it's starting to bush out now. It's going to be a lovely little plant. It's quite a broad leaf and really rich dark green. So it does look quite different to your soft caress. In fact, we'll just take a look at the soft caress straight away, just as a comparison. You see, much finer, more delicate leaves on this. A beautiful plant in its own right, and I wouldn't be without this. But that Narahiri is looking fantastic. A nice little pairing with this Waggy as well. Let's just go back to this. Over here we've also got a Fatsia polycarpa, which has not got the lovely long fingers on it yet. It didn't have a great year last year. As you can see, some of the leaves are quite just chunky and fat on it. A bit more like a standard Fatsia japonica, but it is a green fingers, because you see some of the older leaves, look. But this will give me that backbone of evergreen plant in here. I've got that with the fence, but eventually I would like to kind of replace this, because I think the fence is only getting held up by all the ivy. And look at it, it's massive. It's a big old chunky thing. But I don't mind it. It gets covered with bees and all the rest of the pollinators. But it doesn't have to take up a lot of room. It takes a lot of hacking back. I mean, if you look up this section, it's really encroaching on this space. So I need to crack it all the way back, just take it all the way back so you can get down the side of the decking just to clear it out. This, I always forget what this is. Not Sonchus, is it? Or is it Elacinatum, is it? I always forget its first name though. I get corrected every single time. It's obviously been wiped out by that real cold day we had, or relatively cold day we had. It's turned to mush, but I'm just going to leave it and see if anything, and I don't know if you can see any, I don't think there's any green real growth on it yet, but we'll see. If it comes back to life. If not, just dig it out, it's no problem. Hopefully I'll just be able to grow some more from seed, and just to replace it. Didn't grow amazing this, because this bed isn't really, or it hasn't been really enriched. I've continued to add a lot more manure and stuff to this bed. You know, all these beds want a good bit of nutrients added to it. Oh, what you can see down here though is the start of the army of bluebells. So these absolutely take over down here over the next couple of months. It's something that's been in the garden since I moved in. They absolutely littered the lawn when I got this house. Well, this section actually wasn't a lawn, but they littered all this area, which was all like a mulched bark chipped area. And I've managed to remove pretty much all of them from the garden area. But yeah, down these paths I don't mind in the beds, but they do really take over. And I think also I've seen yesterday when I was in the garden for a little bit, the tulips just starting to make an appearance. Let's have a look, see if, yeah, I think we can just see some down here. Have a look. There we go, some tulips just starting to make an appearance. But I have mulched all this bed just to smarten it up a little bit. And to be honest, it looks a lot more pleasing on the eye. Just with a little bit of mulch down. I'd already added quite a bit of manure to this area, but just that little bit of mulch on top smartens it up for such a bare area. I mean, this twiggy bit in the middle, that's my Salvia amistad. I've not cut it fully back, just I know where it is at least then, don't I? Otherwise I'll end up planting something right on top of it. The yucca's looking nice. It's grown really well this since I got it as a small little plant. I take a couple of these lower leaves off that are dying off, it'll start to get itself a little bit of a trunk. I need to find an area for this and get it planted, but I don't mind as a potted plant for now. Everything's looking fantastic in this damp weather. So lush and green. As you can see here, this is the Arundodonax, now completely like blackened off. There's only a little bit of life in the stem. but they should be completely fine to come back in the spring. Not too sure what time they start shooting, maybe April time. But yeah, it should be fine. Then I could chop all these ones back. But for now, it gives me that little bit of structure. You know, to be, if I stand just at the bottom of the decking steps without that, there wouldn't really be any height here. So I don't mind that whatsoever. As you can see, I've uncovered, I'd got all my cord lines, I had the little zip ties up on them. See it just at the bottom. And the drawstring on the fleece bag, which I did use for one night, snapped on me. But he's looking pretty good. I have lost a cord line Torbay Dazzler before, so it's worth just that little bit of protection. This Charlie boy, been in a couple of years now as well. Always seems to come through relatively unscathed. This is not the world's best looking Trachycarpus fortunei, but I am starting to be pleased with it. Because in the centre, if we move these leaves out, there is 3 new fronds coming out. So once those palm leaves come out, hopefully it starts to fill out, and I'm going to feed and water this quite a lot this year, see if I can maximise its growth. Well, that rain's starting to come down now. What else? We've got the euphorbia. This is John Phillips. Starting to fill out this area quite nicely now. I look forward to that really dominating that space. And then the acacia behind it hopefully will continue next year. Well, this year, sorry. To grow up and get up above the fence. I don't know how big I want to allow that to grow. We'll assess that as it grows. It took a little bit of frost damage. You know, it's not perfectly green, but it's certainly not died back too much by any means. I'm surprised to see, sorry if I'm rushing through this, it's just I'm getting wet. I'm quite surprised to see some leaves still hanging on to this Tetrapanax. You know, the flowers are not going to come to anything, they're never even fully developed, look. They've just snapped over, but I'm not cutting anything back at all. I want to allow any late frost or this time of year's frost to get any dieback and lose any of this height, because it's still looking really good. I think this will continue where it's left off, which is amazing, because you know I've had dieback in previous years, which is how it ended up a double trunk like that, which I do really like. And then obviously you end up with pups when you get a bit of dieback. So I've got these two which I am leaving. I just think they'll be really cool as you walk down the path here, to just be under really up close and personal to the trunk and have it up and above your head. But any more pups, I'm going to try and keep removing them, because you'll see just down on the floor, that's not one that's fallen off, that's an ever so little pup. Same with this one here, and you can see it's still got a green leaf down there. So these will be getting dug up. No reason to do it just yet. Dig them up in another couple of months, more chance of surviving, and I'll just pass them on to people then. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people still looking for them. What else we got here then? This is the time to shine for the hellebores. If you want to maximise looking at the flower display, then you can cut off all the leaves, leave the flowers, and they'll reflush all the new leaves later in spring. But I grow it for an evergreen plant, and just to look at it all, the flowers are just a bit of a bonus for me, so I don't do that. I can chop some of these leaves back though, the ones that are starting to fade over. It's took a little bit of damage, but no, as a rule I tend to leave these. You know, the flowers are alright, but I grow it for that foliage. Look at the ferns in this damp weather, fantastic. Looks so nice and green and healthy. I'm not brilliant with my ferns, so don't expect names on any of these. I just, every time I see a nice one, I'll pick it up, add it to the garden. There's plenty in this area. Another of the Mahonias, look, this one's Mahonia volcano, or volcano, however we like to pronounce it, paired with a Schefflera taiwaniana, in with the ferns. And then just down here, you'll not really see any remnants of it, I don't think, but that there is one of Colocasia galligonensis. You know, it's turned to mush, but it still looks relatively okay. So we'll see. And at worst, I imagine there's runners gone all around, so they should crop up even if that one was to fully die off on me. I did notice yesterday that this abutilon hot orange lava has lost all of its leaves. It's completely defoliated now. I'm not sure how it'll cope. I think it's the first year it's actually been in the ground or outside all year. I normally just throw it in the greenhouse in a pot, but it wasn't growing in the pot, so I planted it out. It's supposed to have a little bit of hardiness to it, so we'll see. It's no great loss if that doesn't make it. And the rheum there, which I said I probably am going to move because it completely dominates this space. You know, this space is a good 1.5 meters across either way, and it just fills it all. So I wouldn't mind removing that and planting it somewhere else, whether that be potentially behind the back of the pond, where it can really just dominate the space, and I won't need to worry about chopping it back to allow other things. But if we have a look at the back of the pond, you'll see it's quite empty at the minute. So there's not a lot going on at the minute. But in there, there's around, I think maybe 10, 11 hostas. You see where all the old flower spikes are. Now these just allows me to remember where they are. Another small tetrapanax in here. Where is it? There it is, just behind that rock. And then another not so great looking trachycarpus, but it's certainly recovering now. So this was one I got from B&M a couple of years ago, and it holds onto its leaves not too bad, but it always looked dead soft and floppy. And like you see, they've yellowed quite easily. But the back end of last year, it really started to throw out some fronds, so I'm hoping now it's got its feet down and it's going to continue to grow away, and hopefully, you know, perk up and be a really nice healthy specimen. I don't think we can see any other fish today. Or can we? Let's have a look. Where are they? No, just down there somewhere under all the... Yeah, just see them just under there, just chilling out. I've cleaned this out a little bit, but it still wants a lot of, like, you see all this just old. I don't even know what that was, to be honest. It was in there growing. So it wants all ripping out, but I'm not in too much of a rush at the minute to remove that, just because if I take that out, you can see where the fish are hiding under it. It just allows the heron to have even more chance of seeing them. And the heron will definitely be looking in winter for a nice easy meal. So as the garden starts to spring back into life, that's probably when I'll cut this back. There is 3 fish caves in this pond though, so they do have places to hide, but yeah, they can never have too many. Said before that I think this waggy is going to get planted here. I want a palm here regardless, and I think this one will work quite nice with its nice stiff smaller leaves to it, just so that once it gets bigger, as it inevitably will, it's not going to cast too much of a shadow onto the patio and block too much sun. You know, it'll cast, in wet weather like this, it'll cast a lovely shadow onto the patio as well. That'll make up some nice photo opportunities. These tree ferns will be loving all this damp weather. You know, it's not been particularly cold. We've only had maybe a week's worth of below freezing temperatures, so they really are looking well. And you can see in here as we push through, it's just now, see its new croziers ready for coming out. So this should have a nice new flush on it another couple of months time. And this one's done really well for staying green. Look, it really has done well. If I can get up onto the larger one, this is the 5-footer. We'll just see if we can see what they're looking like. I don't know if we'll be able to see, but I'm pretty sure they've browned off a lot more. And then the 2-footer has definitely taken a little bit of damage, but not enough that they'd ever be worth taking off. Still going to photosynthesize and provide a lot of energy for the plant, so I would never advocate cutting them off at looking like that. Even when the new ones come through, if they look like as green as that still, they'll be staying on 100%. This is actually another tree fence. I did forget to take the lower protection off, so all it is some fleece wrapped round, and I just use electrical wire just to tie it on with, because it's nice and it's just easy. Wrap it round, twist it a couple of times, not going anywhere. I just find it easier than messing about with string. You barely have to do anything with electrical wire, so a few offcuts of that I always keep around in the garage or the greenhouse just to do that job with. Right, so the job I have been on with last weekend is round the back. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm going to be using this back space of the garden. And it used to have big towering trees, black poplars, towering right up, you know, like the rest of the trees around here. Towering up, they were cut down last spring, about April time. And I started developing this area. Now last weekend, I did a little bit more work and I've started to, you know, it's now starting to level out, look. I need a lot more topsoil. The idea is get another 5 ton in. I've not actually bought any yet, but I got some freebie soil and I've put that in here. But I'm gonna have some 5 ton, and hopefully, even if I just do the areas, you know, the first area, cover between this first fence panel, these first 2 posts across, and the soil level comes to around, I don't know, just around this area here. So it's still a fair bit to go. It still wants to go up another 1.5 foot easily the whole way across here. But the issue I've had is I've been digging out so much glass. I mean, down here you'll see there's just so much glass in here. And I'll post another little video of what I was getting out. I mean, just the other day I took 2 full buckets of glass to the tip, and I've done that previously as well. There's just so much. I don't know what the idea was down here. I mean, everywhere you look, there's just shards of glass, single pane glass. This doesn't make the best footage, but you get the idea. I mean, it's going to be an amazing space. I'll just go down into the far corner. And look how much bigger this space is. It's going to be fantastic. And this eventually is where my potted Butiagris Eriospath is going to go, pretty much probably where that wheelbarrow is. I will put a raised bed in here, set it away from the wall so that as it grows up, if it ever gets that big, it doesn't, you know, interfere with the top of that roof, which I've said before, I will be fixing to some degree, just so it's more pleasing on the eye for me. This old tree stump, I can't get a stump grinder down here, and I've exposed more of it because this was around ground level when the boys cut it down. And obviously I've exposed more of it, and you can see last year it started to grow back. So I've chopped them off because I don't want this tree to grow back. I need this space, but I don't want these growing back at all. So as this grows back, I'll have to keep chopping it off and weakening the tree and killing it. Unfortunately, I probably will have to poison that, but it's a needs must, because yeah, I can't allow that to grow back. It's going to be too vigorous, too big, and look at the damage it caused when it was previously here. So that'll come out, and as you can see, it's below soil level anyway, so that'll get covered up, and then there'll be a raised bed in this area here, and that's where my Butiagris is going to go. There's still a hell of a lot of work to do down here. Yeah, I thought I'd just give you a quick update on what I've been doing. So yeah, I'm going to try and fill up to this first post, and then I keep digging all this out, get as many ivy roots as I can, all the way across this fence level bit, just straight behind the fence. Keep digging that out, getting all the glass out, as many roots as I can get, just to stop the ivy. And there was an old rose bush down here as well, little scrambler. Pull that out as well, and then eventually I'll be able to get this fence down. But there's no rush on that until I've got a fence from across here. Just get it all the way across here, just so I'm not looking round the back. And yeah, we'll just keep working his way down as much as I can do. It's going to cost a fair bit in soil, pricing it up and getting it delivered. I thought it was a little bit cheaper than it is going to be, but it'll be worth it in the long run. And this year, I cannot wait to see this Burinda KR 5600 shooting. I'm hoping you see a lot of manure down at the base. I'm hoping that starts to send out some nice culms. As you see, last year's very thin, spindly, not much strength to them, so that's why they're arching over like this. It makes it a bit difficult. But while ever there's green leaves on, you've got to keep that in, feeding the plant so it can grow bigger and better each year. And then as it does do that, we can thin out some of these thinner ones. You see, I mean, these are real nice canes. This is what it came with when we chopped it down and brought it to my house. So yeah, they're going to be a fantastic plant. The bin's still, well, plant pot's still on top of the gunnery because I was finding the leaves were blowing around too much. As you can see, I just put Tetrapanax leaves on because there weren't enough gunnery leaves to actually protect it over winter. So added some Tetrapanax leaves and then a bucket over the top just to stop too much of the frost on it. Like I say, wasn't too bad. There's no reason to take that off just yet. I don't even see it. Right, let's have a look. Where are we going? So as you can see, my Musa Basjoos that are protected just a little bit, not too much. These, as far as I'm aware from last time, let's have a quick look. Yeah, still looking really good. I'll take this off. So you can see, still standing nice and firm, nice and strong, pushing a little bit of green growth out. That'll still want cutting back because it's all mushy on the top, but you don't do that until it really starts pushing into growth. For all this is a little bit of polystyrene. This is like polystyrene ducting, and you can see on the inside probably easier a load of perforated holes in that I just stabbed and just slipped that over the top with a pot on top. And that is all I've done for wherever. I didn't have loads of them, but I put it on all these ones here, and you can see they're all standing nice and firm. Contrast that with these ones, which was stood just as tall. Now you'll see most of them are just folded in half. So there's that one folded in half. There's another good one here folded in half. Basically, I think the whole clump has almost fallen over. It just shows you just that little bit of protection does make the world of difference. And the idea was not to protect these so you didn't see so many of the pipes and buckets, you know, from the house. I don't know if this looks any better, to be honest. It does look a bit of a mess, but it's been so wet. You know, I think if it were just a bit frosty but dry, I think these would have stood up a little bit better, but with just how wet it is, they've gone so mushy. It's a bit of a shame. We'll lose a lot of height on these, but yeah, these are going to bounce back no problem. Again, I'll feed them really nice. Get these up to last year's height, no problem, I imagine. Fantastic. This always looks good no matter the weather. Unless it gets snow on it and then it all flops over and I can't get in the greenhouse. But this is Fargesia Robusta Campbell. Yeah, it does look really good. Have we missed anything down here? More hellebores in flower. Looking really nice. And then just some potted palms that I'd taken out of the greenhouse. Now it's a bit milder. Drops down to about 1 degree tonight, and then that's about the coldest it's looking for the rest of the week, so nothing to worry about really. We've got a triple Trachycarpus, which I'm growing as a triple just to see if I want to plant it and see if it's something I want to do. This is my Boutia odorata that I got for Christmas. So that's enjoying a nice bit of fresh air and a bit of rain. And then this one is a Trachycarpus. Oh, I can't remember what that one is. I'll add it to the screen in a second. So we've got Trachycarpus there and another Trachycarpus here. Let's have a look at what we've got. So we've got, I'm reading it on the screen, Waggy Cross Ulcarensis, and this one had it Tequil Cross Fortunii. ever so little bit of damage on previous fronds. In general, looking really nice and green. So they're just going to stay potted palms for a while, at least for a good bit yet. I don't know where I want. I've got a lot of palms in pots. I don't know how many in total I want to plant eventually. So yeah, nice potted plants. And yeah, this, I think, see, I see this view a lot. I come to the greenhouse a lot, even in winter. And so I really like this area to be quite green and lush. And I don't know, I almost would, I think I'm tempted to plant something where those palms are now, just to give you that extra bit of evergreen, because obviously every winter these bananas are not going to look very good. But I know they're going to keep expanding, so it's whether I want to grow something so close, knowing they're going to realistically expand until they touch each other. And I've got to keep making sure that they only expand that way towards each other and not towards the path, because I do think they'd have the power to just uplift all these cobbles. You know, they're down really well, but yeah, I've seen the power that these can do. You know, some big stately homes and things where they've planted them. I think even at East Ruston Old Vicarage, they've gone close to the house in a raised bed and it's pushing through the concrete raised bed, I think, near the house, something like that. So yeah, there's a good bit of power in these. So as long as I keep chopping any side shoots off that start encroaching on the path, I should be good. A plant I forgot to put away before Christmas, or before any of the bad weather came, was this, which was a Musa sycamensis. Not sure if it was everred or something like that, but yeah, I think that'll be toast because it's in such a little pot. I never got around to planting that last year, so there's every chance that just won't even bother coming back, being so small. But we'll leave it for now. I'll chop it back, see if anything happens in spring. And that's it, I think. We're not too far off back to the beginning of where we started. I think if you're looking at just the edges of this Boutia odorata, taking a little bit of damage, but I'm not too worried about that. I put this cover over, you know, just so it kept the worst of the weather off. Anything just outside, I'm not too worried about. No, it's a little bit of superficial damage, but as long as the main plant survives, you know, it's only been in the ground. I think this was its second winter for this. So it'll be starting to get its roots nicely down. Then as years progress and I'm struggling to get any higher, because it is quite difficult actually in the middle of this bed to get me sent in. So as that puts another couple of foot on, I'll probably just start to leave it, and I'll just wrap some fleece into the central growing point, and then maybe wrap something around the base on the soil level, just to stop too much moisture getting down there, rather than trying to get a canopy over it. But for now it's manageable, so that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I think that's it. We're about done now. Garden's not looking too bad. It's looking particularly decent today in this damp weather. Everything's looking really lush and green, but you know, I think every year from now on, every winter should start to look better and better. I do like the gardens with a lot of evergreen interest, because yeah, when you look over there and there's not too much going on, it's not as nice, or it's not my style. That I want a lot of tender stuff. You know, I will keep tenders and I'll put them in and around, but I do want a lot of evergreen stuff. Potentially the bottom half of the garden, where behind that fence, is where I'll be more experimental, or just have a lot more tenders, because you're obviously not going to see that from the house. I want this first section, because obviously you'll see this from the house. This I want to fill with lush tropical evergreens, or tropical looking evergreens. We're never going to get true tropicals, but at least then what I see is a nice evergreen garden from the house. Obviously I'll see the more bare patch at the bottom for these tors and stuff, but it really doesn't matter. It gives me a lot more growing opportunity down the bottom. So thank you for joining me on another garden tour. I'll try and get some more videos out before the February garden tour. I've got bits still going on, but it would be nice to start adding to the channel again like I used to do, instead of just finding time for the monthly tours. But thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.